Hey there. It's right around 1:44 p.m. on Tuesday, August 8th. Today is some kind of a Lionsgate celestial event. I'm not sure exactly what it means, but it has something to do with the stars lining up with the pyramids in Giza in Egypt. So I don't usually pay that much attention to celestial events just because I have a crazy amount of everyday stuff to worry about every day. And I don't have the time or the luxury to focus that much on celestial events. But over the last few days, there have been some amazing and incredible, uh, I guess, atmospheres going on in my life where once again you get shown stuff that you don't think makes any sense or is really possible, and then it keeps happening, so you're like, okay, well, I guess this keeps happening, so there's something there. One of these things that keeps happening in my life that has just really had me scratching my head for the last like 10 or 12 years is this situation of divine connections. I pretty much stopped dating when I was 38, 39, because all of a sudden, instead of, going on, Match.com or whatever to find somebody to go have coffee with or just see if you have anything in common, I was suddenly finding myself in these divine connections with people that didn't make sense, but that you're just blown away by the connection between you and this other person, even though you don't even know this person, or you just met them, or they're not really your type, that kind of thing. So I made a video about 4 or 5 days ago about how I'm 50 and deliberately single, and I do not date because it's no longer for me. It's not something that's a priority in my life, and I don't need to have this like dating situation going on. It's not exciting anymore. It was exciting when I was like 30 or 33. You meet somebody new, you meet them wherever you go. I've met guys like everywhere, on the subway, grocery stores, cafes, bars, just everywhere. And whether or not there's a connection there just sort of depends on the situation that you're at, right? So if you're sitting on the subway and then the person across from you is like making eyes at you, but then they get off at the next stop, you're never going to talk to them again, probably. But if they're getting off at the same stop as you, which has happened to me a number of times, then you start talking. And that's what happened to me. That's how I met a few of my boyfriends, just riding the subway. And you just start talking and they get off at your stop. And the next thing you know, you're just chatting and exchanging email addresses. Anyway, that stopped happening when I was 38 or 39. That was 11 years ago. And instead, what started happening was this divine connection situation where people that I normally would never be interested in dating, or, who are off limits, like, for instance, people who are in relationships already, or who maybe are gay, or just in another situation that has nothing to do with you, all of a sudden you have this intense connection with them, and it doesn't go away. And that's what's been happening right now over the last few days. I never thought I'd have a connection with this other person because it's an unlikely scenario. They have some other stuff going on. They have some other political persuasions, maybe religious, beliefs than I do. And I never, ever would have connected with this person mentally, right? Like, you just see somebody and you're like, not my type. But what a divine connection is the connection is already there for you, and there's nothing you can do about it. So no matter which way you turn, no matter how much, how hard or how much you try to ignore it, it's just there. It's like slapping you in the face everywhere you go. It's just basically the universe is hitting you over the head with a 2x4 and telling you there's a connection with this person, and you could try to ignore it and push it away because it's not the right set of circumstances, or they don't have the right religious background, or they don't have the right political beliefs or whatever, but it's still going to be there. That's a divine connection. No matter how hard you try to push it away, no matter how much you ignore it, you tell yourself, no, this person is not for me. The connection is just there. And the more you try to ignore it, usually the stronger it gets. And over the last few days, I've just been getting just blindsided over and over by this connection. I'm not sure what the deal is. This person appears to be married. I'm not going to go chasing married people around. It's just not a good idea. They're kind of busy. They've got stuff going on their end, and you're probably not the focus of what they need to do. but the connection is there. So what do you do? What do you do with that? Right? And so that's the conundrum and the curse of suddenly being a person who gets shoved into these divine connections no matter what you try to do or not do with them. The universe is like shoving these things at you, these situations at you, and then you have to scramble to figure out what to do and how to manage it and where to go from here, right? So 7 years ago, I was working at Target. I was trying to get into the management career track at Target. There was an actual manager at Target who turned out to be one of my divine connections. And he was about 14 years younger than me. So I was immediately like, no, he's too young. He was pretty much dating all the college girls in the store. So again, I was like, too young. Hello. But there was this divine connection that was just incredibly just intense and undeniable the entire time that I worked there. And you're scratching your head the whole time going, what the hell is this? What am I supposed to do with this? And why is this even happening? And so you kind of just have to let go of control. And I'm in the same situation now. It's like, what the hell is this? And why is this happening? And I'm not even like interested. This isn't somebody I would normally go for, but it's there. And that connection is so strong that, again, you just keep getting smacked in the face with it. No matter what you do or don't do, what do you do? So what I did when I was at Target, because we worked in the same store, often in the same corner of the store, you just keep going. You ignore it. You just keep going. And if, whatever happens, happens. You cannot do anything about it, because even if it's a divine connection and the universe is like smacking you in the face with it, there is a set of circumstances that exist here, on this physical plane that precedes and supersedes anything that might be happening, sort of in the stratosphere, in the atmosphere, stratosphere, whatever. So that's always been my approach. And that way I haven't put myself into any crazy situations where I was like physically dating somebody who was married, or, physically hooking up with someone who was like 15 years younger than me. I've never put myself in these weird situations physically, because I've always had the wisdom to let things ride themselves out and to see where they go and not push anything and not try to manipulate anything. Sometimes a connection is there, but it doesn't mean you have to do anything about it. Maybe the universe has its own ideas of what it wants to happen with that situation. And if you start, trying to manipulate things, it's going to mess it up. So that's where I am right now. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to let this ride itself out. Maybe it has a purpose that I don't understand, and that doesn't involve, going for coffee with this person. Maybe it does. And so you just have to wait and see what happens. And that's what I've always done. It's always worked out pretty well for me. So I've never been in weird situations physically. I've never dated anybody who was married or had, angry ex-wives coming at me for any reason. I've always had the wisdom to not get involved with people who were in situations that looked a little dicey and that I probably should not, wade into. And it has always served me well. I've always been pretty smart about stuff like that. You think with your head, you feel with your heart, but you really have to do what your head tells you to do, because ultimately that's usually what works out.